good, put it all out there. That's a good point too, Samisha. That is a good point. So you have to understand, just because something is cool in America, that don't mean that it's cool with the Most High. The way these ladies be walking around at the beach, the way these ladies be walking around during the summertime, the way you got on TV right now, just regular commercials. I seen the commercial, they were talking about selling bra and panties. A woman pulled a dress up, just as old baby, straight out. This is a commercial. You understand? Read that for him again.
The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man.
Pants is for a man. Okay? Listen, our women are very, very blessed when it comes to the bodies. You understand? Not to be vulgar, just to put it out there. And your body belongs to you and your husband. This is what this is what you got to understand. That nobody deserves to see your body unless they're committed to you. And it's really a shame that what has happened in this world is, I remember back in the day, it took time. It took a lot of time, a lot of long days to see anything of a woman. You understand? But now all you got to do is be friends with her on social media. She'll put it out there for you every day. And that ain't right. You got to start seeing yourself in the true daughter of Zion that you are. And understand that yes, you're beautiful. Yes, your body is amazing. And yes, what you have is something that's very attractive. But don't nobody deserve to see it unless they're committed unto you. You understand? If they're not committed unto you and giving unto you and nurturing you, they don't deserve to see it. I know society teaches you complete opposite of that, but that's not what the Bible teaches. Okay? And he said what?
And neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do are an abomination to the Lord their God.
Straight out. Now, let's go to the next question here. It says, the next question was, when praying, should a woman have her head covered? Now, let's go to 1 Corinthians 11 chapter. Like I said, when we're dealing with all these questions today, Christianity, we keep trying to stress to you that Christianity is not of the Most High. You understand? It's not. It's not. These denominations is not of the Most High. Catholicism is not of the Most High. The Protestant Reformation is not of the Most High in the Bible. Therefore, this is why you have everything that you're seeing going on in the churches. Where this church over here doing this one thing, and this other church over here doing a completely other thing. Now that people are coming back to, our people are waking up that we're not black, that we're not African American. To introduce this to our people, it's a culture shock. And they've been going to church for generations. And so when people say these things to you, you get offended saying that people judge you when you go to the Bible. That's just what it was. You understand? 1 Corinthians 11th chapter, we're going to look at verse 5. And for those who are just coming on with us, the question is, when praying, should a woman have her head covered? 1 Corinthians 11th chapter. Give him verse 5 there, Jay.
But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoureth her head, for that even all one as if she were shaven.
Now, go back and read verse 3 again. We talked about verse 3 back when we was talking about the roles of the husband and the wife. Read verse 3 so that'll make sense.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ. The head of every woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God.
Read verse 4.
Every man prayeth or prophesieth having his head covered dishonoureth his head.
You understand? So this is more truth to let you see that the Jewish people are not the people. You understand? Because when they go into the temple, they go into the synagogue, they always had them little black caps on. Read it for them again.
Every man prayeth praying or prophesying having his head covered dishonor his head.
He dishonors his head. And every time they go in, they have their head covered. Verse 5.
But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonor her head.
You see that? So anytime our women go into the church, you're supposed to have your head covered. And see, we thought that this was just part of our culture when you used to see our older ladies with hats on. No, they were following the law. They were being taught the law back in the day. And when they went from generation to generation, it became a fashion statement. When the truth of the matter, they were following the law. So when you go into the house of the Most High, you're supposed to have your head covered. When you're in there praying, women that are up there that are ministering and exhorting, you're supposed to have your head covered. Okay? This is Paul. This is New Testament. All right? Okay, now, let's go to the next one. Explain in detail the do's and don'ts of honoring the Sabbath. Okay, it's a good one. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 5th chapter. And this right here is a good one because, you know, we see we on here only on the Sabbath. You're not seeing us coming in the middle of the week, Tuesday and Wednesdays and all that, going live every time you see me riding down the road, I got to go live. You ain't seeing that. The only time we come before the people is on the Sabbath. We're doing this because we're trying to get our people to understand the honoring the Sabbath, spending the time with the Most High on the true Sabbath. You understand? But when we transition into the venues, when the Most High gives me the next direction, you may not be seeing this because we're going to be in the venues. We're going to be in the churches. We're going to be up in the churches here, there. This thing is way bigger than I ever could imagine. But in this opening stage of what the Most High told us to do, we're starting by coming to the people this way. But once we get to different areas, begin to build up, then it's time to go and build in each area. You understand? So we're just trying to get the people to get in the mindset of what your Sabbath is supposed to be like. And the Sabbath is Friday sundown, Saturday sundown. You understand? That's the Sabbath. This is the time you're supposed to be in your church. Not on Sunday. Sunday worship is not of the Most High. Deuteronomy, the 5th chapter. Look at verses 12 through 15. Give verse 12 there, Jay.
Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify.
Keep Sunday.
Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify as the Lord thy God has commanded thee.
Mm-hmm.
6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God.
The 7th day, the first day of the week.
The 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy ox, nor thy donkey, nor any of thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates, nor the manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou.
Well, if I got to go wash my car, what's up with that?
Thou shalt not do any work.
But what if I want to clean my house up?
Thou shalt not do any work.
But what if I, I just feel like I want to go out there and cut the grass?
Thou shalt not do any work. Nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor maidservant, nor ox, nor donkey, nor any of thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates, nor thy man, that thy man and maidservant may rest as well as thou.
Verse 15.
And remember that thou was a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord thy God brought thee out thence through a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm. Therefore the Lord thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day.
Only when it's convenient.
Commanded thee to keep thy Sabbath day.
Until the Catholic Church change it.
God has commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day.
But not if you go to the Baptist Church.
Commanded thee to keep thy Sabbath day.
Not in the Zion.
Commanded thee to keep thy Sabbath day.
Okay? It's a commandment. And I want any Christian to show me when the Most High says it's cool to be Sabbath any day you want it to be. Okay? So we understand everybody's in transitioning, learning this truth about who you are. That you're not black, that you're not an African American. But don't come with the rhetoric saying that it doesn't matter. When he said he did what?
The Lord thy God commanded thee to keep the Sabbath day.
So that don't matter. Okay? Now let's go to Jeremiah 17. We're going to take this a little bit further because I'm going to show you this part. Because during this time, the nation of Israel had split into two nations, Israel and Judea. Okay? If you go to 2 Kings, the 17th chapter, Israel was finished. They were done. Finito. Had already been ran in by the Assyrians because they wasn't following law, statutes, and commandments. So was Judea. It was doing the same thing. Not following the law, not following the commandments, and they found themselves being sent into, getting ready to go into captivity in Babylon. But before it happened, before it came, the Most High sent Jeremiah to plead with the people to turn back from doing things on the Sabbath that it was not supposed to be doing. You understand? And you're going to hear the same rhetoric that the people going to tell Jeremiah that our people are saying here in America today. It don't matter, man. You know what I'm saying? We can do what we want to, man. And you're going to see what the end result was there. Jeremiah 17. Let's look at verse 19 here.
Thus saith the Lord unto me, Go and stand in the gate of the children of the people, whereby the kings of Judah come in, and by way they go out, and in all the gates of Jerusalem.
So he told Jeremiah, listen, go to the gates, stand right there where everybody's coming, because I want everybody to hear this. And this is what we're doing here today. We're going on Facebook Live, we're on YouTube, we're going and putting it out for everybody to hear it. What the Most High feels about the Sabbath. This question was given, this is why we're addressing it. Verse 20.
And say unto them, Hear ye the word of the Lord.
Hear ye, my opinion.
Hear ye the word of the Lord.
The opinion of Lavender.
The word of the Lord.
The opinion of Jay.
Hear ye the word of the Lord.
The opinion of Israelites.
Hear ye the word of the Lord. Ye kings of Judah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem that enter in by these gates. Thus saith the Lord, Take heed to yourselves and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem.
So he told them straight out, listen, stop what you're working, okay? Stop what you're trying to get money. On the Sabbath day, there should be no buying. There should be no buying, and there should be no making money on the Sabbath day. Okay? So whatever you need for the Sabbath, you need to be done and took care of it by the time that sun go down on Friday. You understand? And there's no going to the mall. There's no going to the grocery store. There's no selling fish plates. There's no doing anything until that sun go down on Saturday. You understand? That's what the Most High said. Now, you got people that call themselves Israelites and call themselves walking in the truth. You see them at the mall, balling out at the mall. Talking about you honoring the Sabbath. No, you ain't honoring no Sabbath. You just not going to church on Sunday. From the time that the sun go down on Friday, you're supposed to be in a position, in a mindset, strictly with the Most High. If you're not in the area where the Israelites have a local church and your church is not meeting on the Sabbath, then you need to take that time with the Most High. This is why we told you. This is why we do these 2-hour lessons. To give you 2 hours of the day on the Sabbath where you're getting nothing but the word of the Most High. You're fellowshipping with other brethren. This is why we do this. When you go back into the time of the wilderness, when you go to the Numbers in Exodus, the Bible, as the manna would come from the sky, that's how the way the people were being fed. The Most High instructed them. You go, you pick up the manna, but on the day before the Sabbath, you're supposed to get twice as much so that you would have enough for the Sabbath. But if you got twice as much any other day, it would go bad. But the Most High will allow on the Sabbath, the day before the Sabbath, that everything will go right until the people, so the people would have stuff on the Sabbath. They were not collected to do anything on the Sabbath. You understand? Shout out to Juice Man. What's up with you, Juice Man? Verse 22.
Neither carry forth a burden out of your house on the Sabbath day. neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day, as I commanded your fathers. But they obeyed not, neither.
But they did what?
But they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their neck stiff, that they might not hear nor receive instruction.
Read that for them again.
But they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their neck stiff, that they might not hear nor receive instruction.
Don't that sound like us? Don't that sound like our people here in America? When we start telling our people, yo, man, you got to get away from that Sunday worship, man. You got to get back to the Most High. Listen, man, we under grace, man. That don't matter. Go ahead and listen, before we read the rest of this, Jay. Let's go ahead and precept this. Because I already know some minds are wondering right now. They say, I don't care because we ain't under grace. We under grace. We ain't under law. Go to 1 John 3 and 4. Read that for right quick, Jay. Just so they can understand it. Matter of fact, go to Romans 6, read verse 1, and then give them 1 John 3 and 4. Just for the newcomers who may not know. Because I already know what the people say in the Bible. This don't got nothing to do with me. I'm under grace and Jesus died for me. I don't got to do it. So go to Romans 6, read verse 1, and then give them 1 John 3 and 4.
What shall we say then?
Read for them, Romans 6 and 1.
What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?
Read it for them again.
What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?
Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?
God forbid.
God forbid.
How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?
How can we live therefore therein? Now, let's go to 1 John 3, verse 4. He's going to give you a definition of what sin is. So people saying, we're under grace now, man. We ain't got to follow the law. We ain't got to do that no more. The Sabbath is done with. Jesus rose on a Sunday.
Is it 1 John 4 and 3?
3 and 4.
Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law.
Say what?
Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law.
What?
For sin is a transgression of the law.
You see that? That's New Testament. So before we even finish reading what the Most High commanded for us to do on the Sabbath, I needed to put that out there so you can see what Paul said and what John said in the New Testament. Shall we continue in sin so that grace will abound? God forbid. Read what sin is to him again.
Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law.
Transgress the law. That's what sin is. Whatever the Most High says in his law, when you don't do it, you're transgressing it. That's what sin is. Okay? Not what the church said, not what the Protestant Reformation says, not what Catholicism says, what the Bible says. And he said what?
Also the law, for the sin is a transgression of the law.
For sin is a transgression of the law. All right? Now, let's go back to Jeremiah 17. Because I just want to go ahead and put that out there for people who saying they don't got nothing to do with them. You're not an African American. You're not black. You're from the tribe of Judah, from the nation of Israel. Now, let's go back and read verse 22 again.
Neither carry forth a burden out of your house on the Sabbath day, neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day as I commanded your fathers. But they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their necks stiff, that they might not hear nor receive instruction. And it came to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith the Lord, to bring in no burden through the gates of thy city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein, then shall there enter into the gates of the city kings and princes sit upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, that their princes, the men of Judah, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem and the city may remain forever.
See that? So the Most High sent Jeremiah and said, listen, I know you've been breaking my Sabbath. I know you've not been keeping my law, statutes, and commandments. But listen, if you would listen to what I'm telling you here, if you would walk away from what you've been doing, you would stop trying to get money, stop trying to sell, stop working on my Sabbath. If you honor and keep what I said, what I told you to do to your fathers, then just guess what will happen? I will remain, this city, Jerusalem, will be blessed forever. The kings will remain on the throne forever. All your people will be on forever. So he gave them an opportunity right there. And for all you people who sit here and talk about the Sabbath don't matter, evidently it was matter to the Most High if he's putting this on the line for the Sabbath. And he told them, this is, like I told you, this was Jeremiah being sent to them before the captivity of Babylon, when Nebuchadnezzar took out Judea. You understand? So this is what was at stake here. Now let's see what they responded with.
And they shall come from the cities of Judah, and from the places about Jerusalem, and from the land of Benjamin, and from the plain, and from the mountains, and from the south, bringing burnt offerings and sacrifices, and meat offerings, and incense, and bringing sacrifices of praise unto the house of the Lord. Mm-hmm. But if you will not hearken unto me to hallow the Sabbath day, and not hear, and not bear a burden, even enter in at the gates of Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, then I will kindle a fire in the gates thereof, and it shall devour the palaces of Jerusalem, and it shall not be quenched.
You hear that? And we all know how that ended up. So the do's and don'ts on the Sabbath is that once that sun goes down on Friday, until that sun goes down on Saturday, no work, no buy, no sell, spending time with the Most High. Now you'll find things in the law that infer that you're not supposed to cook on the Sabbath. But this is the difference between that. You have to understand that back in those times, it took a lot of work to be able to cook. You understand? You had to go collect sticks, start a fire, keep the fire burning. It was a lot of work you had to be doing. It wasn't going in there and cutting the stove on. You don't understand? So you going and you cooking some food or doing something on the Sabbath, you're not necessarily breaking the Sabbath. But what we like to tell people to do is, if you got to do any type of cooking, any type of thing, do it Friday before the Sabbath comes in, and then have it already prepared. So the only thing you have to do is maybe go in there and warm it up in the microwave. You understand? Or fast. Whatever the case may be. But when it comes to this Sabbath, this is very important to the Most High. And if it's very important to the Most High, it should be very important to you. Now, we got one more question. What we at on time right now? Okay. We got one more question. And before we answer this question, I want to say to anybody that's on with us right now, we're going to take a little bit more time. So if anybody that's on with us right now who has a question related to some of the things that we talked about, we ask that you put that question into the box and we'll address it. If you have a separate question or something that you want to ask, put it to the box and we will get to those questions in the order in which we receive them. So as we address this next question, if anybody that's on with us right now has something that they want to ask, put it out there and we'll make sure that we address it. All right? So the last question. Are the East Pacific Africans part of the 12 tribes? East Pacific as in Malaysia, Philippines, etc. Some slaves ended up in Europe as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. What tribe are they from? Now, let me deal with that last part of the question. It says, some slaves ended up in Europe as a result of the transatlantic trade. What tribes are they from? Now, you got to understand that a lot of our people ended up in Europe during different times, different time frames. For example, after the sack of Jerusalem in 70 AD, you had Rome, the ones that it didn't kill, they took off, they took them back to Europe, put them in the Colosseums to fight, and the certain places they sent in as slaves. During the Grecian captivity before the Romans, a lot of our people from Judea went back in, went to Greece and certain parts of the area of the Asia Minor and Asia as slaves. Those people will be predominantly the tribes of Benjamin, the tribes of Judah, and the tribes of Levi. Now, during the transatlantic slave trade, those people who came from that area and ended up in Europe would be also the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, and the tribe of Levi. But this is something that's often overlooked. During the times of the so-called colonization, when they were going to when they was going to Central and North and South America, a lot of our people that was over here, which were the tribe of Gad, the so-called Indian, the tribe of Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Ricans, the tribe of Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, the tribe of Zebulon, the people of Central America, the tribe of Asher, you understand? The Dominicans were the tribe of Simeon, the Haitians, some of the Haitians that was, they wasn't there during that time. But those people, those tribes, some of those guys went into slavery in Europe as well. So you also have some of the descendants of those tribes that are in Europe. Now let's get to the second part of this question. Are the East Pacific Africans a part of the 12 tribes? East Pacific as in Malaysia, Philippines. And yes, they are a part of the tribes. Those people would be the tribe of Naphtali. You understand? Now, for the person who asked that question, I have a specific video that I'm going to send to you so they can go in detail to break all of that down. That's a lesson in itself if we actually did that. We don't have time to break that lesson down. So I'm going to send you a video separately so that you can get the information on that. But yes, we got people in Philippines. We got people there's also people that's in Japan. There's also people in Malaysia, the Fiji Islands, the people of Hawaii, the Samoans. These people are from the tribe of Naphtali. So yes, they are part of the tribes. You also got people that's in China, people that's in Vietnam, people of Laos, some different areas right there. Those are also from the tribe of Naphtali. So yes, these people are Israelites. Yeah, so just wanted to put that out there. And like I said, for the person who gave us that question, I will make sure that I send you that video separately so we can break down all of that information. Now, so let me check my inbox. Let's see if we got any more questions. Also, at the same time, like I said, good morning, Ms. Cox. It's good to see you on with us. If anybody that has any questions that's on with us right now, feel free to ask them. You can send them directly to me, or you can also post it here in the box and we'll get to it. What Christmas said?
Check out the Hebrew to Negro series from my good friend Ronald Dalton.
That's right. That's a definitely good series. Christopher posts a lot about that, and I'll make sure I connect you with that. Let's see. Like I said, if there is no more questions, anybody else got any more questions? If there are not anymore, we'll call it a day. So we don't got no lesson prepared for today. We just wanted to address those questions. I don't got anything in my inbox. So I think this went over pretty well. We had a variety of questions, and I want to thank all of those who submitted those questions to us. I think this was very informative. I think this was something that that we may try again, and maybe the next 3 months we may start doing this quarterly. Oh, yeah, my bad, Teasy. Okay. My brother did have one other question, and I told him that this was going to be a lesson in itself. But since I do got some time on here, I will go to it. He wanted to go over the holiday season. I told him, I said, bro, that's a lesson in itself. Okay. Now, we're just going to do this briefly because, like I said, breaking all these things, the different holidays down, it's a lesson in itself.